Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. Portland has a stolen car problem, and the trouble only seems to be getting worse. Though, according to police statistics, even after all the headaches and the hassles, most people eventually get their vehicles back.
Could a growing movement on social media be part of the reason why? Our Alma McCarty dug into the issue, which led down some unexpected paths.
I was thinking that I was going to write something on it, and then I realized that it would look just like the scarf.
And with its custom Portland Timbers paint scheme,
So I put "No Pity" across the back.
you can't miss Paul Regan and his 1981 Chevy Camaro.
It was easy to spot. I'm sure people who have just a Honda or a Subaru, it's much harder to.
Which came in handy in May when someone stole Regan's favorite ride.
The people in the dog park were like, why is Paul driving so insane? Like going over the speed bumps and bottoming out and sparks flying up. They're like, what's he doing?
He reported it to police,
I secretly harbored, that I would get it back.
who offered some advice.
Put it on Nextdoor and talk to PDX Stolen Cars.
PDX Stolen Cars, a group run in part by repair shop owner Nick Haas
I gotta hand it to the power of social media.
and founder Titan Crawford.
I'm glad you had the police report so I could tell it was stolen.
Together on a mission to bring cars snatched by crooks back to their rightful owners.
I had found a stolen car in my neighborhood. I knew it was stolen. I contacted the police and they said, there's not a whole lot we can do right now. So I was like, well, see if I can do something.
Starting small last fall and quickly taking off, with now 10,000 passionate Portlanders making up the Facebook group.
I'm going, where are all these people coming from? And realize there's a huge problem of theft of property in Portland.
According to Portland police, some 3,300 vehicles were reported stolen in the first 7 months of 2020. In 2021, that jumped to over 4,100. This year, it spiked with a whopping 6,312 stolen cars reported from January 1st through July.
It's just a shame that, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention.
Between police reports, VINs, and vehicle descriptions, group members crowdsource and cross-reference to help track down hundreds of cars. Sometimes the clues lead to dead ends, but not this time.
She sent me a picture from this man's drone that obviously was the No Pity Camaro.
Paul's pride and joy spotted from above at the dusty end of North Midway Avenue in St. John's, in the middle of a wooded area and on private property. It's widely understood by those who live nearby, like Randy Reed. It's part chop shop, part homeless camp, and either way, he says, notorious.
Another friend of mine's car got stolen about a month ago and came down here, and it was right here at the spot.
With the hum of metal on metal through the trees,
There's like a dozen, maybe 14, 15 cars back there right now that are partially stripped, some partially not. There's a bunch of people back in there.
It's a little out of control.
neighbors say it's scary.
I don't know what the deal is, because this seems like more than just a camp.
With drug dealing, fires, people armed with weapons, they say, on top of all those cars. Though it seems Portland police are aware. In this Instagram video posted last month, it appears an officer drives a stolen Ford F-250 off the property. And according to PPB, 3 people were detained following this recovery. But the PDX stolen car guys say law enforcement isn't doing nearly enough to address the persistent problems.
And they're still pulling cars in to this day, every day, right now, and stripping them.
And it's why they're stepping in.
I dive into it. I get on my laptop. I tell everybody I know that's good at this, we need to figure out who this owner is. I make a few phone calls. I pull a few strings. We get lucky.
With luck on their side when a group member shared that drone photo, the final clue to recovering Paul's Camaro.
Here we are in a chop shop, North Portland.
A month after it went missing, covered in dirt, but mostly intact.
We had to winch it out, which was a whole thing too, and then drove it out.
After this search and rescue, Paul's more careful about where he parks, grateful for a group of people like Titan and Nick that didn't give up, who, with the will and the drive, finally found the No Pity Camaro.
Thank gosh they're doing what they're doing. And it seems like such a great way, because It's just rampant right now.
And all of that raises the question of whether police could and should shut down what neighbors call much more than a chop shop. It's clear from that Instagram video you saw they are aware. And while PPB provided some context about stolen cars in general, when it comes to that particular property in St. John's, it was radio silence.
So, Alma, what about the owners of that lot? I mean, you managed to track them down, too.
And that is where it gets even more interesting, David. They've had it since the 1980s and over the past years have spent tens of thousands of dollars of their own money, they say, trying to clear, clean, and secure it. These big blocks of concrete here, they shelled out about 10 grand earlier this year to block off access, only for people running this operation, if we can call it that, to drive through the bushes instead. So the owners tell me they've reached out to police, they've reached out to the city, and one of the responses they say they got, their lawyer called pretty much mind-boggling. We're working on a follow-up story because right now they say there's a lack of action and no easy solution.
Yeah, to a crisis that's about much more than cars that has been years in the making. I am shaking my head here. Alma, really appreciate your reporting tonight.
Can't wait to hear more on that story. New tonight, thousands of Pacific Power customers are expected to face a power shutoff on Friday due to a forecast of high, gusty easterly winds and potential wildfire risks. In total, 12,000 customers in the areas on your screen have been warned of a shutoff from early Friday morning through Saturday.
Crews will be out there patrolling lines after the major gusts have kind of passed through the area. And so they're looking for any debris or interference on the lines, or if any repairs need to be made. And so once that visual inspection is done, that's when we'll know it's safe to turn the power back on.
PGE is also warning it could shut off power in 10 areas at high fire risk. They have a map on their website showing the places most likely to see a power shutoff. We have a link to the map in this story on KGW.com. To explain more about those conditions, let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino.
And Matt, how worried should we be?
You know, it's definitely something to be concerned about with these east winds that are developing. It's not going to be as strong as September 2020 when that event just raged for a long period of time. And the wind gusts with that event were stronger than what we're going to get. Still, it's going to be really windy enough that any fires that are out there or that start will get fanned and could exhibit extreme behavior very, very easily. We are now west of the Cascades under the red flag warning, the fire weather warning here, and a new fire weather watch is up for the Cascades and the Columbia Gorge. So we've kind of flip-flopped a little bit there, and that's because we're going to see the strongest winds here on the west side of the state. Now, how strong will the winds be? Well, we look at the modeling on this. This is Friday night at 9 o'clock. We're seeing gusts of 30 miles an hour out to the coast, gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour in the valley, and gusts higher. You see magenta areas here. Those are gusts of 40 or 50 miles an hour in parts of the Cascades and the Gorge. So again, that's a serious wind when you have fire weather concerns. The good news is it doesn't last that long. This is by Saturday night. The winds have all but ended. The east winds have wound down, so we'll be better there. The other thing that's going to happen is we're going to get smoke here from fires not in eastern Oregon, but from way up in Canada and northern Washington. That north and eventually east wind is going to push that smoke down over us. This is Thursday, and then as we go into Friday, even in the morning. So expect a hazy sky even as it's heating up. Cool and pleasant for tomorrow, but those hot, dry east winds kick in. And again, the wind gusts will be impressive in the Cascades, 40 to 50 miles an hour. The valleys, about 30 miles an hour. The winds will ease Saturday. Guys.
Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up now on tonight's other headlines, the wind, the hot weather, also a concern for fire crews in northeastern Oregon. That is where the Double Creek fire has burned 59,000 acres, and there's zero containment. The community of Imnaha has been evacuated, firefighters wrapping buildings in fire-resistant fabric to try to protect them.
A Gresham man has been arrested in connection with the overdose death of a Portland teenager. Authorities searched the home of 38-year-old Dwayne Hill today. They say they found counterfeit oxycodone pills manufactured with fentanyl. It's believed those pills caused the overdose death of a 17-year-old back in June. Investigators say Hill has been distributing the fentanyl pills around Portland for nearly a year.
And the price for on-street parking is going up in parts of the Lloyd district. Now, starting Friday, the cost will triple to $3 an hour. That only applies on days with large events in the neighborhood like concerts or games at the Moda Center. City Council approved the change in April with the goal of relieving pressure on people who live and work in the Lloyd and Rose Quarter, who can sometimes struggle to find parking. A group of people with mobility disabilities are suing the city of Portland. They are claiming the city is failing to provide equal access to the sidewalks because of homeless camps and debris. The plaintiffs argue the city's in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Federal Rehabilitation Act. They say the number of tents blocking the sidewalks makes it nearly impossible for them to get around. They're asking the federal court for three things here. First, a declaration that the city is in violation of those acts. Second, to require the city to remove tents and debris from all of the city's sidewalks. And third, to provide shelter space for those living on the streets.
Not only I have to maneuver and figure out how to get from point A to point B, because the tents shift. Every day it's different. They're at one spot and then they move to another spot, and I have to go out in the street a lot of times to get around them.
I want the city to fix Portland, get the homeless people off the sidewalks, make it clear for us.
So we asked the city for its response this evening. We were told the mayor was meeting with colleagues, including the city attorney, to discuss that lawsuit.